Kathryn Hickok from Cascade Policy Institute. And she's going to talk to us about something that I think you all need to be sort of aware of, and this whole Secretary of State audit thing, which we've been talking about a lot. But Kathryn Hickok will give us the inside dope, as Cascade Policy always does. Hi there.
Hi, Jane.
How are you today?
Great, thank you.
Was it raining intensely where you are?
Yes, pouring. Cats and dogs.
Oh, it was just, I know, it was pretty intense. All right. Tell us about this and from the accountability of government, and of course we got our own Secretary of State saying he's not going to go after as vigorously as he campaigned on, that he's going to be going after some of these state agencies, and a lot of us were very excited about precisely that. He says a lot of these things, because the spotlight's been on them, they're sort of taking care of themselves. I don't buy that for a second. But what are your thoughts on all of this in terms of the public records? And just as you said in your email about it, there's so many different angles we can go from. It could be a whole couple of shows.
Well, I think the more light, the better, Jane, and I hope that the Secretary of State keeps at those issues that he said he wanted to look into, and whether or not they are getting resolved because of all the spotlight that's been on them. I think it's really important to have him in his position continue to demand some answers.
Yeah, own it.
Look out for the taxpayers. So certainly, one thing at a time. I really hope that he continues working through that list, because it is much needed in Oregon government. And the Portland Public Schools audit that was just announced a couple days ago is just one of many issues. But I think there really is a public accountability issue here that is a lot bigger than the particular lawsuits that are going on right now. That, of course, the actual facts and the actual cases are very important, but this in itself is kind of emblematic of larger trends in terms of public accountability, not just here, but across the country.
Yeah, and I think the fact that these audits aren't done regularly, or they're done sort of, I'll scratch your back and you scratch mine, and everybody gets sort of a clean bill of health. It's why we think it's a swamp. It's why we think that we don't have any say in it. They don't have that accessibility, and now, of course, the lawsuits to keep. Not to get into these records, but to keep us out of them. Right,
exactly. There was a large AP story just a couple days ago that put this PPS issue in a larger context. This has been going on in other cities around the country where government bodies increasingly, this article said, are turning the tables on citizens who seek public records that might be embarrassing or legally sensitive. That's the way the story put it. Basically, they are turning the tables on the people who are filing the public records requests. That affects who pays, ultimately, the legal fees, and that is chilling for citizens who don't necessarily have a lot of money. They're not government agencies. They're not large industry agencies who may have a lot of resources to be suing. They may be private citizens who have legitimate concerns about things and are seeking public records, or in this case in Portland, a Portland Tribune reporter was named in the lawsuit. There's a concern there. Do we want reporters to be countersued, basically, when they file a legitimate public records request seeking answers? And these are things that I think that parents are particularly concerned about, because the public schools they have our children in trust. Parents send them to school and are expecting their children to be safe and to be taught. And so there is concern about whether or not the public schools use administrative leave in order to hide issues that they don't want to come to light. And, of course, employee issues can be very complicated. It can be hard to find out what's really going on, and people do have a right to due process. But it's not a far-fetched concern for parents to be wondering if administrative leave is being used inappropriately in order to hide things that parents should know about. And it's important for any entity that's receiving taxpayer funding, let alone one that is educating children, to be accountable to the public.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons we were so excited that Dennis Richardson was elected, because this audit function in Oregon has been basically, it's one of the liabilities of one-party rule, because if everybody's in the same party and they're all looking out for each other, then you don't get the kind of auditing that the public needs to have fiscal accountability and efficiency and all the things that we desperately need, and we don't get in Oregon because we don't have that.
Exactly, and that's been one of the strengths of our whole country for our whole history. Back when our country was founded, there was debate about party systems and whether or not that was going to be factionalism. But there is an understanding that when you have more than one party and vibrant parties, you do have different interests who are able to hold each other accountable. If there's only one voice, if there's only one power that controls society, then we don't have that honest questioning and honest holding each other accountable that we really need.
Yeah, and then groups like the Freedom Foundation, in terms of trying to get some information, they're fighting and being successful in some cases, and then hitting major roadblocks in it. But it shouldn't be so hard to get information. The only time information should be hard to get is when it endangers a private citizen's interests.
Right. Right, and there are questions about that with the Portland Public Schools because there have been a number of scandals just recently in terms of health and safety in the buildings and employee issues and all kinds of things that have been, big headline news for many months, and your listeners are quite well aware of all of those things. And parents have a right to be concerned, and really other employees have a right to be concerned because they're working in those environments, they're working with those people, and we really need some healthy sunshine on the public school system in order to hold everyone accountable and to make everyone better. I mean, it's not just about being contrary, but a healthier environment is really good for everyone, and it'll improve the school system.
The other part about it that's very frustrating is how the government is now using our tax dollars to sue people who want public records. Right. The government works for the people. I know. The other way around. They don't. I think they sort of lost touch with that, and so if you have to lawyer up. And the taxpayers are paying for the government to fight you. Right. And who wants that trouble? Yeah. And who has that kind of money? Right. So it really does send a chilling message to taxpayers, citizens, watchdog groups. Don't ask questions because you'll be sorry if you do. And that's definitely not something that is healthy in our society. No, you've done some excellent work on this. Where can people get more access to it, Kathryn? Because it's very compelling work, and there's a lot of good people that are really standing up for this more than I've seen in recent years, and it's exciting. And I think Dennis Richardson's a good man, and I think he will hopefully carry the baton for us. Well, our website is cascadepolicy.org, and we promote school choice and parents' rights and education and more sunshine in government. And so much more. Kathryn, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on a little bit later. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you very much, Jayne. All right, Cascade Policy, great group. It's a great way to invest your money too. If you want to help out political causes, and this is a research center. They do investigative work that, well, the government, the media won't do for you, so they'll help you do it. And they have an ace staff. They really do. And you get a taste of them every week about this time on the show, and they really are amazing people. Very impressive.